It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. It's Feedback Friday. And I'm actually going to be doing some two women talking feedback. A song responded to one in the comments, but I think they were good points that kind of got me thinking. And so this is like a yes and instead of responding. I try not to do much with two women talking because song's not here on these segments. So if you like this content, if you like what I do, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K. Patrons have been getting some updates about how the men's groups are forming. So that's been a cool dialogue, kind of a building block thing. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. Those discussions really inform this content. Or you can chip some money to the men's groups. GoFundMe links are all in the description box below. And thanks everybody for being so supportive about the Zelda video not getting done this week. It's weird because one person pointed out delaying a game, it's done. I know with Song of Sparkle Muffin, as long as we're communicating, it's cool. And we do, the regular update videos so people can see what they're doing. But it's like with video content, it's still that treadmill that I have clearly not quite gotten over being frequently crunched in video editing when that was my full-time job. It's weird how those gremlins just keep at you. So really appreciate the support on that one. Now let's get into the comments. Like I said, what I appreciated about this comment was the commenter started off, this is less an appeal and more so help identifying the source. And it was about the things I said on Two Women Talking about men calling women annoying when they fall in love with them. This commenter said, I find that this is usually a product of the men shouldn't have or share their feelings mentality. I was like, ears prick up. Love is a feeling, a strong feeling, and even condition only, and even condition, maybe men are conditioned to only express a limited scope of feelings. Oh, okay. And when conditioned, let me start over. Love is a feeling, a strong feeling, and when conditioned to only express a limited scope of feelings, loving someone becomes an annoyance. There's this feeling of dependency, want to be around them, experience them, connect with them. It's a feeling that when taught to reject, but constantly finding yourself doing it, becomes worse than just hating yourself for feeling sad. Love is inconvenient for the stoic man, so annoyance is a result of the inconvenience. It's overall a bad sign of self-mastery because understanding and embracing yourself is more important than controlling yourself to utmost efficiency. And I think that probably crystallized something I was instinctively responding to, but that added some information to. And I love comments like this when it's a dialogue because, my whole thing with the, oh, she's annoying, I'm in love with her, is okay. We see what's in it for him. If she reciprocates, she is accepting bad behavior right off the bat. You shouldn't project bad shit onto a person you claim to love. This is, the cliche red flag territory. And that lack of self-mastery is, I think, the core of it. And like the commenter said, and perfectly put, understanding and embracing yourself is more important than controlling yourself to utmost efficiency. We all make mistakes, but mistakes are, in order to make that work, in order to have that be a character flaw that the male lead overcomes to have a successful relationship, you actually have to show that arc in the story that, I was projecting my shit onto you. And I really, really appreciate the breakdown because it's kind of what I said, right? You are annoyed. The other person isn't annoying. You may have been annoyed by something the person said, but that does not make the other person whole being defined as annoying. And well done, commenter. That was really, really astute. Another one, the same way. I've noticed the character arts for a lot of female superheroes or superheroes by another name see Mulan as basically self-actualization, realizing that they are enough. I think the reason we're getting a lot of these stories is because, as Leanna's mentioned in other streams, the girls are told that they are inherently X, Y, or Z. I'm saying Z even though Canadian Z. So we are that message playing out on screen. I personally don't jive with this message because I see it as saying this is what you are and only what you are. So if there is something tough luck, there's no way you can improve. I subscribe to the view that if you are lacking as something, it's good enough to strive and struggle to overcome. So even if you fail and and those around you, you're still better off if you just accept it and stay still. And I agree. And this is something that I think, even though we're seeing it reflected in media for women, we've got WandaVision drove me crazy for this, but there's so many. The reason WandaVision drove me crazy is after an entire episode of Agatha leading Wanda around going, this is your life and this is who you are. Wanda goes, I don't need you to tell me who I am. And it's just so you're not my parent. It's not even a voyage of self-discovery. It's a bad one. She's showing she doesn't know who she is. And we see in Multiverse of Madness, no, she doesn't. So why not Empire Strikes Back that shit and land on a fall? Because I think they caved to politics. We know that the end of that series was reworked and reworked and reworked to death. But the other one, you're not allowed to imperil women because then she's a damsel in distress or it's rape culture or something like that, except apparently in the fucking Black Widow movie. Win through self-harm. Awesome. But because we have so made that needing help bad, getting taken advantage of bad, all these things inherently bad, we are losing so many potential types of stories regarding a woman. So what do we have left? Character study. Character studies are totally viable. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, great character study of a world, right? But also Alice. Like, let's face it, it's all a dream. But then for whatever reason, when things should be a character study, i.e. it's a single character's name in the title, it ain't. And this bothers me, no end. But the point I want to get to with this comment is I am seeing that even though we are seeing this expressed in stories featuring women, I'm seeing it affect a lot of men in real life too. The number of times, a lot of the initiatives I'm working on now in the mental health space are actually spaces for people that are not about their mental health struggle. It's about something they're good at or they're passionate about, right? So let's do a group to talk about movies. Let's do a group to talk about writing. Let's do a group to talk about video games. And yes, we are mental health aware. If somebody wants to talk about their own struggles in the context of this, they are welcome to. It will be accepted. They will not be rejected for doing that. But if they don't want to roll around in their mental health struggles for 90 minutes a week, they can be something else. And they can go back and forth between, if they want to break from the mental health journey, they can. If they want to connect it to something in a piece of media that they're really passionate about, they can. And you may remember the bubbles we did winter and spring. those were pilot projects for that. And I do the writers group, and that one, that's been amazing that way. That people know they can come to that group even if they're having a rough day, and it's okay. You know, they can say right off the top, I feel really shitty. And everybody's like, sorry to hear that. Do you want to talk about it? No, I just want to say I feel shitty. And by the end, they feel better, like a lot better, because they just get to be a person and be accepted. And they can say, I feel shitty. They don't have to talk about it if they don't want to, but they can talk about it. It is empowering, and it is a whole person approach. And I do think that this getting labeled of you are this thing and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, that was my own journey with annoying. It was just, you're annoying, you're annoying. And let's face it, it's total shutdown. You're annoying. Accept it. But, you know, intellectually, that's a subjective thing. I annoy you, fine, but there are other people that find me quite fun to be around. Thank you very fucking much. But it got to me for a while, and I went through it, and now it's just become, I think the first commenter was correct, that it's just something people are deflecting onto me, projecting onto me, because they can't take a good hard look at themselves. And because I've come through that, now it's been this run-on joke talking to people, because there was this post in TERF circles, gender critical, trans exclusionary radical feminist circles, that I was on a list of people they should just block for your own protection. They get you mass reported. Twitter is in cahoots with these people. And this is about trans people, right? I ranked above Keffels on this list. I don't know how I ranked more scary than somebody who literally threatens people with get ratioed. You know, no slight on Keffels. Keffels neutral here. Just, how did I end up there before her? Because pissing off extremists who are wrong about a lot of stuff is a superpower. And that's what people read as annoying. But if I had gotten stuck in annoying, I wouldn't have maximized that ability. Because now it's funny, right? People laugh, but I'm like, guys, I'm on another blacklist. And it's just sort of, I don't get it. But I had a conversation with somebody this week, and I talked about, and he hit this point years ago. And he said it was scary at the time, but, you know, obviously we've come out the other end better for it. But my journey with PTSD means that I described it, you know, there was this hole in me that was keeping me down. And one day I just decided, and I understand this is very kind of Dwarven Forge metaphors, but, you know, took that hole, poured a bunch of molten metal in it, and now there is this very, very, there is an edge. There is a steel in the middle of me. And people expect a squishy core, and that they hit that steel. And that was when this lovely guy, brilliant guy, was like, yeah, I remember hitting that. And that was scary. I understand it now, but I didn't know it was there before that. It's like, yep, that's me. And that's why I warn people off the bat, I am an asshole. And it's what I had to be. I understand it's not going to be everybody's thing. It was what I had to do to knock the D off of the PTS. And unfortunately, when you have those, and it was always there, right? I think back to things I did even when I was a kid, and like, there is not a point in my young life where I don't remember being terrified. I existed as a child and adolescence in a perpetual state of fear of some kind. And there are huge chunks of my childhood that I don't remember. And that gets ever more complicated. But, because I'm in grade 1, I was in grade 3, I was in grade 5, and I skipped grade 2. So it's like, what, have I forgotten grade 2? Or it wasn't there? No, I skipped grade 2. Okay. I do have that trauma brain. And I've got that combo of that. And then I had a severe pneumonia when I was 11 months old. And they know that childhood illnesses, childhood injuries, it does change brain development because you're having to deal with a real stress to your system when a lot of things are forming. And that's very real. I can't do anything about that, and so it was always sort of there. There was always an inexplicable, no matter how many times I got punched in the face or my head smashed into things or something like that, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively, I got back up. But it was small and it was like surrounded by an infection. And I got through college the years I went to college, and TV and all that stuff, the void started growing. It was like pieces of my personality started getting eaten away. And that eventually hit a critical mass. And so that void, that bag of broken glass, eventually had to be dealt with. And so I was like, okay, molten metal, now it's art. Because you can't just reassemble the pieces. It's never going to go back together, which is why I love that Japanese gold mending technique. They make the breaks a thing of beauty. You're not trying to hide the fact that it was cracked. It's just look at the cool thing we did to put it back together. But when people hit that metal core, it bang, that was a Yoshi sound, and that's me. And that ain't changing. And there's some people that really, really like that because they know, okay, if you're pissed off at me, you're going to tell me, sometimes I will wait a bit to calm down before I do it, but I will tell people. They never have to worry I'm secretly mad at them, whereas other people, not so much. But other people, they want the tell me it's okay even when it's not. That's not me. And some people find that annoying. Why can't you loosen up? Why can't you soften up? Well, because that is not an option for me. It's hard or it's psycho. And I mean, I feel affection for people. I care about a lot of people very deeply. I'm an introvert, so I prefer more intense connections with fewer people instead of a bunch of superficial relationships. I'm invigorated by conversations, but I don't gain energy by being in large crowds of people. And so, there are some people I can respect the hell out of. I can think they're good people. We do not get along because I won't do the tell you it's okay when it's not. The good side of that is if there's a fight and we work it out, it's over for me. I am not one of those people that say something's okay when it's not and carry around lingering hostilities. I will fight it out until we're good. And then we're good. We're actually better than before we had the fight. Because now I know, okay, you fight fair. I like that about myself. And people with prolonged, treatment-resistant depression, long-term PTSD, personality, I hate personality disorders. They're injuries to They are injuries to the foundation of self-concept. That's working with people who have them. That's how I see them. And so the process there is you take the broken bits, you take those pieces that rattle around, you take the substance of your choice, and you create something solid there. So when things get tough, you go, that's me. And I'm happy with that. And you may not like it, but that ain't changing. Other things, I can't change. Approaches to things, giving things more time, recognizing I can be really pissed off and still in control. You know, I don't have to go for people's throats. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. And that's not strength. And aggression is not strength. And I think a lot of people confuse me having fun with something by going, ah, with me actually being angry. And I can't stand that. So, you know, maybe that's why people think I've mellowed. I haven't. So, again, you know, yes, absolutely true. These things are not you. You know, you are not inherently these bad things. There may be things you need to work on. Now, if you lie habitually, then yes, you are a liar. We can prove that. You know, but something like you're creepy, you're annoying, you're pathetic, you're stupid. There is too much subjectivity in these things for someone to say that for certain. Did something you do creep someone out? Yeah, that's factual. And you can work on that. You know, you could be, you know, looking over someone's shoulder because you're really interested in what they're doing, but that person needs a lot of personal space, perhaps because of trauma, so that creeped them out. The ideal thing is for somebody to say, can you not do that? I have trauma. Oh, okay, sorry. Where can I stand? Seems so simple, right? It's amazing how much that doesn't happen. But you can only receive that feedback without getting that soul wound feeling if you've got that solid core of, okay, I did a thing that creeps someone out. That does not make me creepy. Now, I was a goth in high school. I still have that mentality. I still have friends who are elder goths. I have a high threshold for creepy. So take from that what you will. But yes, absolutely right. And I did this long preamble because there's this comment that I'm going to get to now. Somebody stayed mad for 2 weeks about a response that I don't write in comments very often. Sometimes I will do it because sometimes I want to let somebody save face. And that's what I was doing in this case. I was giving someone a chance to try again. And this is in response to the challenge versus attack video. But someone stayed mad and brought this back in the comments to something, a very strong reaction they had to the masculinity isn't fragile, it's highly pressurized video. And this person went off. They started just ... just amazing. All right. Males have problems because a few bits of media show exceptional / idealized versions of men, essentially putting us in the same place as women in the 80s looking at Cindy Crawford and trying to achieve the beauty standard? ? No mention of the fact that we're really only talking about the West, the place where feminism has had 60 years of demonizing the things that make reliable men, stoicism, resilience, self-sufficiency. it goes on, where our role in society has been diluted and eventually been made redundant. High single parent rates, women married to the welfare state, where we're told we have to express our feelings more only to have people laugh about our male tears, the removal of male-only spaces, the destruction of the master-apprentice relationship, emphasis of immediate over delayed gratification, the very way we deal with our internal emotional turmoil being laid toxic, i.e. physical expressions such as working a punching bag and watching as our sons are being fed a constant diet of being a victim, put on a dress, be emotionally weak. Yes, I'm doing Anne Reardon voice because do you see the pressurization? This is in response to a video where I said masculinity isn't fragile. It's highly pressurized. And this guy went on for three more paragraphs until he finally landed on, okay. I don't even know where to pick up this comment because it went on so long and it's just every paragraph is clobber, 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 right? Stuff that just, but it ends with, an example of men want to be and women want to be with. An example he gave was Al Bundy. Not attractive or happy, an object of ridicule, but his biting and hilarious comebacks show that while he is certainly down, he is not out. I don't think Al Bundy is I don't think that show was wanting people to aspire to be Al Bundy. And he certainly wasn't a catch, because in many ways, Peggy was as bad as him. But this was okay. That's where I think this piece has gotten lost in the cloud of its own broccoli farts. Now, I did reference broccoli farts in the video, but lost in the cloud of its own farts, it's entirely built on the erroneous core assumption that men feel the same pressure as women when it comes to societal beauty standards idealized in media. And that's just not true. The whole video was how it's on a unique pressurization that uniquely affects men. That's why it was on Manly Monday. And so I responded, that was an amazing example of a straw man argument. Thanks for playing. And he left another comment basically saying he'd unsubbed. And he said he unsubbed because I love this. I love this lead up. The unsub was because anyone who so fundamentally misunderstands what is happening to men in the modern West really doesn't have anything to say worth listening to. If I am misguided about what your argument is, could you spend a couple of sentences explaining? Well, I already did, dude. I said it was a straw man. I'm not going to defend myself with someone who already went unsubbed. You're gone. Bye. Bye-bye. You hit that steel core. Wrong way to come at me, my man. But to make it better, you know where this is going. He said he unsubbed. I am not worth listening to. Flippant dismissal. But he's back. And this is why I led with that thing about projection. He's back. And it's so good. Okay? Because it was in the challenge versus attack. Just a cheap shot and therefore attack. So when you said that was an amazing example of a strongman argument, thanks for playing, in the masculinity isn't fragile et al. Comments, was that a challenge or an attack? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it checks a lot of the boxes from this piece for an attack. My dude, it was in response to your attack. Just amazing, smelling its own farts, unsubbed. You can blather on with alleged details, but they were extrapolations. They had nothing actually to do with what I said. It was a hell dump. You were venting your spleen. And so was it a challenge or an attack? Well, it was a challenge to your attack. When someone tells you it's a straw man, and you go prove it, no, you came at me. I am not going to reward that. That is just not, you claim to support traditional male virtues, stoicism, resilience, and self-sufficiency. Your response was not an example of any of those. But it gets better. Here we go. If you're not going to answer their questions, if you're not going to engage on the stuff they ask you, then why are you doing it? This comment isn't to litigate that interplay or overestimate my impact to the grand scheme of things. But when I saw this title pop up, how did you see the title pop up if you unsubbed? Uh-oh! Busted! It reminded me of that conversation and prompted me to check for a reply. Perhaps a conceit, I'll admit. I did think you might have been addressing that directly. I wasn't. Nada. So why did you toss off the flippant dismissal if you weren't prepared to engage on the points? Perhaps more curious, why drop a segment that seems to be directly and harshly criticizing your own response to that thread? Example, don't name the fucking logical fallacy. Just present another set of facts. Present a counter argument. Well, this is awkward. Honestly, the whole bit feels like confession through projection. One, I didn't say attacks were bad. I just said know the difference. And you correctly were like, yeah, I'm dismissing your criticism. Yep. Because it was an attack, not a chop. You were just venting your spleen. You're doing it again. You're personalizing, my man. That was not about you. I'd forgotten. That was 2 weeks ago. That's a fucking eternity. When somebody does 4 days a week of content, I'd say check yourself before you wrecked yourself, but that was already a pretty major wreck, man. If you're aspiring to be Al Bundy, if you think Al Bundy is a man that men want to be and women want to be with, so, did I dismiss you? Yes. Was I attacking you? No, I didn't care enough to attack you. And strawman me once, shame on you. Allow you to strawman me twice, shame on me. Of course I didn't respond. Your attack wasn't worthy of a response. And the fact that you think that was merely a challenge when you misrepresented what I said, threw up a bunch of tangents that I didn't bring up, you're interjecting that. It's not reasonable to think somebody's going to come back for more of that. And even though you claim you unsubbed, it's clearly not so, because you referenced something popping up. Let's go on to another comment that exact same video, and I know nothing, remember, I know nothing about the plight of the modern man, because the modern man is one thing, right? Okay, another commenter. This video does hit close to home for me as someone who has autism. There are a lot of things I generally agree with you on. I've been trying over the years to do better at conversating. I like that word. I admit I've been guilty at times of starting a conversation on the wrong foot, but these days I'm trying to understand as best I can. Generally, it's tough because I do have social anxiety, and I've thought a lot about someone giving a challenge take was them attacking me, but I've been trying to improve on that front. I generally like the way, too, that you approach a topic like this. It's very important for both sides to understand the context of a conversation for it to go anywhere well. Otherwise, it devolves fast into a messy, toxic convo. I learned that if someone genuinely is upset or feels attacked by something I said, that I rather apologize to show I'm not a bully, especially with touchy topics like social issues or medical opinions. And yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to apologize all the time, but you should give a shit. And that self-awareness, one of the things I've been saying a lot this week is that people who were diagnosed with autism as children or teenagers, especially as children, are trained through the socialization techniques to take a huge amount of responsibility for the success or failure of social interactions. And you can only take responsibility for your part of the social interaction. You know, if you're like me with that guy who came in and just amazing, like, I can't control that reaction in someone, you know. He thinks I'm fucking Satan, that I don't understand anything, unsub. I'd say I don't want to be rough on the guy, but I think sometimes it's a more respectful thing to be rough on someone because maybe they'll finally see it's much better to learn the easy way than the hard way. And part of the reason I don't read names on comments is to let someone keep their dignity. In that case, I actually responded because he was very emotional, and so I wanted to give him another chance, but he didn't take the hint that it was a straw man, and he stayed mad for a week and a half, and that's supposed to be somehow my fault. This is an example of you are not always responsible for things going to shit. And sometimes, I mean, am I giving this guy a hard time? Yeah. Could I have completely ignored him? Yeah. I felt a little bad for him, I admit. So I gave him a chance. But all you can do is your part. And sometimes blowing something up is an act of self-validation. Sometimes it is, but a lot of these things are subjectives. You know, like I said, the video wasn't, this Monday's video wasn't that attacks are bad. Just own that they're attacks. And dismissals aren't attacks either. And I mean, the way I'm juxtaposing one guy who's clearly working really hard because he recognizes that he does have this thing that he can't control, but he does have to adapt to, with this guy who is conflating challenges, dismissals, and attacks, going on the attack and then claiming that the dismissive response to him attacking is an attack. You know, you can see who got the better reaction. And I read the Stoics. I go back and refresh my memory because, you know, the ancient Greeks were wrong about a lot, but Stoicism's a surprisingly timeless thing. And, you know, the fact that that one commenter said, you know, male stoicism, which is the packing down of emotions, which is the pressurization I was talking about, versus actual stoicism, which is the processing of emotions. And, you know, one of the cores of that philosophy is that a lot of the stuff we treat as very important really doesn't matter in the long run. That not every action is moral or immoral. The bulk of the stuff we do doesn't actually have a moral charge. You know, you have turkey or chicken. It's not a moral decision, right? Oh, but free range, this is the whole good place thing that I'm just like, no, that way lies madness. No. Whether you like turkey or chicken better, whether you like cake or pie better, these do not have a moral charge. And once you realize that that fight you had on the internet with somebody, that comment that hit you the wrong way, that thing that stung, you're probably going to forget about it in a few weeks. It's a blip. It's not, this big scary thing coming towards you. Once you realize that, you're a lot better off. And I think the world is fucked with a lot of people, and that's left people feeling like they're fucked. And autistic people have especially gotten this really heavy burden because they're expected to adapt to neurotypical rhetoric, lecturing people on being inclusive and not ableist, but then the minute they're like, can you please tell me what you mean? I have autism. And they don't do it in a neurotypical way. You're creepy. Go away, creeper. That is not a person worth your time. That is not a person whose opinion is valuable to you. My way is to not waste time on those people and spend your time on people you can actually get somewhere with. Which is probably why I end up on all these super awesome block lists. But for me, I'm like, good. That's the trash taking itself out. If people are going to block, because I know I'm not encouraging mass reporting. If when it's the stalker, I let people know this is the count, this is the stalker, just block and move on. But I know that's not what's causing the gender critical response, because she was pretending to be a trans person there. So, don't throw good effort after bad. Don't throw good attention after bad. You're not going to be able to please everyone as long as you are checking in and you're open to feedback for people who you believe have your back and have your best interests at heart. The opinions of strangers on the internet don't really matter in the long run. That's the moral of the story. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/LeannaK, or GoFundMe. Help fund the men's group so we can unpack some of this pressurization. It's going to be starting end of September, beginning of October. That's around the corner now. And until then, thanks for watching and have a great weekend.